Hello everyone, we are on the 14th September into a all delegate meeting open to all the Hidden Onios members. So you are welcome always to join. This video will be published. So today the agenda, I give the floor to Gabriel. Welcome Gabriel and welcome Mo and everyone.
Hi everyone, thank you Patrick. I'm going to share my screen and we'll go through the agenda as usual, trying to be as efficient as possible and make space for comments, questions, ideas from everyone. So first up is the tech group. There's quite a few bullet points here. Who would like to take that on to start? Or shall I? I don't mind.
I can.
Go for it.
I will go with the new lead into the new lead appointment into the tech dev. So Duane has not joined recently. To be very fair, we will maybe ask him if he wants to continue to join. And then on the next meeting, we will vote directly during the meeting who want to be the lead. I was raising my hand on the last meeting, and I have some internet issue, and I was ejected of the call, but I have raised my interest. So basically, Jorge and myself, we have applied, and now it's a matter to see what we need into this tech dev. Until October 3rd, that will be the last tech dev. So that's very important that we are focused for the next weeks coming. I give the mic to Mo to speak about the reputation system app.
Yeah. Hello all. Generally just making more progress in terms of the UI and its development, tweaking features like the sorting and filtering. And yeah, just making more progress with it. We're coming to an end in terms of the mock-up for the UI. So hopefully we can get the funds up to keep progressing with it.
Perfect. Gabriel for the Hypha update.
Funded by ENF and Eden or receive a free DAO plan. So it's frustrating inside of Hypha at the moment, or frustrated because it's been such a long journey to launch this beta version. It's imminent. I think now there's literally one thing remaining on the team's backlog, which is basically payment integration with Stripe. It took a long time. Liechtenstein opening incorporation and bank account, and those details are available. So they're doing that final thing, a bit more internal testing, and then the platform is available. Because ENF sponsored Hypha, we get the platform for free. So we can very, very, very soon get re-access. We did have it for a short while. We had the alpha version access, I think, and some of us got in there, but very, very soon. It could be tomorrow for all I know. Maybe it's Monday, but it's that close. And so we get free Hypha DAO access. There's a bunch of payment plans. There's one version that is like 5 members for free, but we've got the bigger plan and we can have lots and lots of members. That's it.
Thank you, Gabriel. Mo, for the dispute resolution app.
So we're exploring the possibility of how to go about creating a dispute resolution app to make it easier for the community to raise claims whenever something is not going according to the bylaws or the dispute resolution, or any agreements that have been reached with the delegates or within the circles or working groups or other members. So hopefully we can keep moving forward with that. We were exploring the possibility of leveraging the dispute resolution app already created on Telos, and simply changing the UI and making the modifications necessary for us to use it here, as well as the development going through with Vlad, who's offered to take that on. So we're exploring the costs of it and the actual work that would need to be done at this point. We're progressing. So, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mo. Interesting point here, monetization by Gabriel. Just a reminder here.
So it shouldn't be a surprise, but we keep saying it just in case people miss it or don't see the documents or whatever, that, you know, in a nutshell, very simply, how about we become self-funded instead of try and be reliant on grants and funding from other entities which may or may not be hostile towards what we're doing, or not, like whatever. That ENF, for example, their budget got cut in half, they let go 20 people, so it's not a great time. So we have the opportunity to monetize what we do and what we care about, what we're interested in. There's so many projects involved in the community, there's so many skills, there's so much ambition. Why do we have to be trying to beg, borrow and steal funding when maybe we can actually be a viable, commercially successful entity as a community? And that's the idea. So we want to try and find ways, including in the tech working group, how can we monetize what we do? Development services, we can list them. The applications that some of you guys are writing, we can list them and promote them and sell them as a group, as a community. So that's the point over there, and we want to be able to introduce that now to the tech working group. So the tech working group understands that through our collaboration, through our joint efforts for promotion, whether it's ambassador program or marketing or social media or whatever, we can bring traffic and bring sales to the work and the efforts that we're doing once we figure out how. That's it.
Thank you, Gabriel. And on the WordPress side of things, you want to maybe take this one?
Sure. So WordPress is the easiest tool for us to make a website. We could do Webflow, but that's going to be more, it's just going to take more time and money to figure it out and do a fair job. WordPress, hopefully we can all be in enough agreement that it's a good enough platform. And then there are a bunch of plugins to think about, and themes and customization, and it becomes from a community-driven website, it will then become a e-commerce enabled platform for us all to, again, do exactly what I said before, which is the monetization stuff.
Yeah. And a little remark on that. The goal is not to create the entire website during this term. The goal is at least to have a one-pager landing page on this website to show what we are doing. The goal is not to finish the entire thing during the term. I think we were coming in alignment, Mo, Gabriel, myself, into our chief delegate discussion. So I think that's make really sense. Okay, so Comms&Media. We are into the right path. So we have a brand name discussion in progress that will be into this Friday workshop coming at 15 UTC with Liam and a brand specialist friend. We will speak about some idea to rebrand the name Eden on EOS for something more appealing and to have a less past sentiment, to put something really in alignment with what we are doing now. Content progress, Dominic producing content, Liam produced content, also myself producing video about the content written. So Dominic and Liam have produced content written, some visual also by Liam. And now myself, I am just taking the written content and producing video. Gabriel also is into the loop with the content about what he wants to put on the website, some written content for the website. And we have the September 18th, so that's next Monday. We want to begin a cadence of publishing with a cadence every week. Like this, we go to the next election with some number growing. That's what we want. And make some good vibes for the next election. That's all about that. And promote also a sneak peek about our ambassador direction. Gabriel, you want to speak about that for new website concepts?
Sure. So I can literally demonstrate. I've been working on this and I just shared it just now. It's, again, everything that we're doing is still draft. Things could change a lot. It's just getting ideas on paper and sharing it so it's transparent, circulated with the community for everyone to be able to contribute if anyone is interested in doing so. So the idea for this document just shared in the comms Telegram channel is I've got 6 menu items for the website: education, software and services, right? These are things that we can offer. And then the other part is more related to how we do things, community ambassadors and elections. So I've just put like a little bit of just some beginning like headlines: learn the skills you need in today's rapidly advancing economy. And that's the education piece. And we could have a bunch of articles there, again, that pre-sell or promote the stuff that we've got available as a community. And we might also together want to produce some courses that could be paid courses, like how to do UX design, or how to do smart contract development, or how to run a DAO, or whatever we want as a community. The next one is software solutions. So we're just starting to make a little list of possibilities that could become things that we promote as a community. And just a note, and I think maybe it's on the agenda, but just a note to say, we've all got to figure out how much contribution and effort people have made into particular items of software, therefore how much of a revenue cut or revenue share they get and versus the community treasury gets. So that's still a big open conversation. When I list this, I'm not claiming these things are our communities. It's owned by individual people who have developed those things. So we just have to figure out what that balance is, so there's a fair revenue share. Yeah, so that's another conversation. Services: our trained Jedi can help you address dozens of modern business challenges, from DAO governance, AI automation, whatever we want to put on the list, basically. And then we get into the community stuff. So our community co-owns the website you're visiting now. We share revenue opportunities, etc., etc. Join the brand ambassador program, or the whatever brand name we have. Join the ambassador program. Benefits: earn a stipend by being voted as a senior ambassador, share profits in collaborative community ventures, and join a network that cares about your success, right? Again, draft notes on how we might just suggest the value of the ambassador program. And then people who are listed as ambassadors on the page, so we can all have our mugshots, our names and bios and links to our personal websites and what we want to do for the community. And that would be a good attraction for being able to invite new community members into what we're doing, right? We're showing, even the fact of just being on that page, getting traffic to it. Imagine people in our industry, they're new, they're lost, they're looking for the next gig, whatever it is. If they find us through the efforts of our ambassadors promoting us, and they come to our website and they see this kind of activity and this network and this support group, or whatever you want to think of it, then that can help bring new community members into what has been known as Eden, right? Or Eden on EOS. And then you got a little suggestion of an ambassador application, just again to paint the picture. First, they have to become a community member, and that community membership probably goes through pretty much the same stuff that we've been doing for Eden to bring on community members, right? Sybil check, FaceTime video, confirmation that they agree with the bylaws. Again, we're not like trying to replace what we've done to date. We're trying to add some layers on top so that we can drive forward, grow the community, and monetize what we're doing together. Step 2, learn about our community and projects, and then build your reputation inside the community so that they get support to be appointed as an official ambassador in the community. And again, we can work out, in my view, is we just give the outline. It's enough to get engagement, and then we can figure out the details as soon as we can figure out the details. And then the next one here, elections, is explaining our Eden election or upvote process. Every 3 months we elect delegates, and that's that. And then we've got a list of the previous seasons. So that's you know, a high level version, but we can imagine if those things are pages on a community owned website, I think that paints the picture of where we're at so far. Again, I've just shared this document. It's a draft. Please, if you're interested, jump into the document, add your comments and thoughts, and so we can develop it together.
I just wanted to say that I like this direction of things and sort of signal some support for it. Great work to the CDs on this. I'm excited for it.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank you,
Liam.
I think I've mentioned this to you guys. Whatever you guys plan to do for the website, I think the broader pages could maybe be aspirational, you know, leading to the next season. Looking at what gets done before the next election should really just be a single landing page. You could break some of those topics up and start into like a single landing page with several headers and give some introductory text and have a CTA to, you know, join Telegram, register for the election or whatever, but just keeping the lift realistic in terms of the website prior to the election, I think is a good thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely keep it in mind. I'm available and I can make websites, one of my hidden talents. So we'll see how far we can get in the time that we've got available. Yes, Perry, go for it.
Will there be a bidding process for the making of this website?
I would like, Gabrielle was just going to create it.
Yeah.
If it's going to save us some money for doing like a proper lift on a really big website, maybe there's some sort of a proposal needed if you're going to do a massive website in the next term. But
yes,
DIY.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry to cut you up there, Liam. Yeah, my idea was that we need, like what Liam's saying is just like a splash page because that's super easy, like a one page. I'm thinking maybe we can have a few pages, why not? And then what we've got to figure out as a community is how do we turn this into an actual platform with fully optimized all of the bells and whistles and custom components and plugins and whatever. That is definitely going to be a bidding process. Let's say we've got to, as a community, list out what all of those possibilities are, and then as a community figure out who does what via what we've been doing to date, which is RFPs and working groups and prioritization and that kind of stuff. So, but just for the basic bare bones website, I think we can get that done as a simple thing without having to do bidding wars.
So anybody who makes websites understands that there's an architecture to it, and it's dependent upon their experience and their style and how they go their approach. If you start creating your website, is it fair to say that the bidding process would allow for a completely new site from the ground up, or are we going to boil the frog here with incremental changes?
I guess that's up to the community. If the working group says that we need to build a Webflow website, then in 3 months' time, then so be it, I guess.
Yeah. Can I just add to that really quickly? I would say that the more that we can do on one website and focus our efforts to try to get an actual website that we can control and retain that control through, the better. We've already seen ourselves develop, I think, 2 prior websites that we've also lost control on. I would not want to see us go that direction again. So the more that we can focus our efforts and build something substantial that we'll want to conserve and keep building on, the better.
Okay, so what happens when new people are elected? Let's say, you know, for whatever reason, the person who's doing the website is no longer available.
Let me respond to this. So we're going to have separate hosting environment with login, and that gets passed on from chief delegates, just like all of the other credentials should get passed on to chief delegates at the end of each term.
Yeah, I hope you can appreciate the point that I'm making.
Yes, historically, things have not been passed over. Chris Barnes has the domain of Eden elections, and he didn't want to hand that control over to the community as one example. So what we're doing is opening a new community hosting account and specifying that the assets belong to the community. Okay, thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, I just want to comment in the same vein. We are becoming an Eden on EOS DAO service platform. We want to monetize what we are doing. Everyone is doing his own platform currently. We have RPS, we have RFP system, we have a bounty system, we have audit system, we have lead sparker generation lead. So we have different services or platform services that we can put on a platform. That's the Eden on EOS DAO platform. And we can go in a sense of collaboration where we do interoperability between apps and also interoperability between the humans. And like this, we do a 1 + 1 = 3. That's the real 1 + 1 = 3. And I see really like this. The website also has to be very collaborative. If it is Gabriel beginning with the website, I am totally with that. We have to move fast now. So he do the website, then he give the credential, he give access to some people that have the skills with WordPress. I am okay to go on it and build a part. Everyone could be able to build his part, make his part of the work. And here we are into the comms and media, because that's exactly that. So the people appointed into the working group will do the work. The people that want to do really the work, they will go on the website, they will contribute to the website, they will make this happen. Because if all is clear, the content written, the videos, the content for the website by Gabriel is made, then the website is a matter of 1 week. This website is made in WordPress. That doesn't need any coding skills. We have also the plugin WordProof by Sebastian van der Laans to make the thing timestamped on chain on EOS, by the way, on EOS. So every page of the website will be also timestamped on chain like this. No one can say that something has been changed into a page, that someone has made a change. We will all see that on chain as a provable work. So that's, I think, a good direction. Thank you.
Mo, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I'm sure that we could create even a working group in terms of the website for anyone that wants to collaborate with that. And yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no one no one should feel like they haven't had the opportunity, but if you miss the opportunity to add your perspective, then try not to complain about it in 2 months' time. If there's other options to WordPress, for example, then let us know right now, so that can be considered by the community as a whole, and we'll look at the pros and cons of doing stuff. All right, let's move on, and we'll do another Q&A section at the end of the call as well. We just got a few other sections here. So finance, again, monetizing the community. This is a focus of the finance working group, is how can they help to manage being able to monetize the community. I hope that phrase makes sense to everyone. We want to bring revenue into the treasury so that we all have the pooled funds so that we can distribute it to working groups for all of the projects that we want to do, and to the delegates so they can serve as ambassadors and governors of the community. Anyone, either of you want to take on the rest of this, finance, Patrick or Mo, or shall I?
I'm sure I can speak to that. Essentially, the idea has been to have the delegates donate their funds to a budget, to an account, so that then we can distribute from there and take on bigger projects. During this term, we suggested 75% would be the amount that we wanted to have donated. There was a number of delegates who donated. Then it kind of petered off. So we wanted to have those efforts, I guess, continued throughout the term. And these are some of the ideas that we came up with for the next term. One of which would be that we have the delegates donate 50% to the DD funds account, and then lower the distribution to 6.5%. So that would be one way to do it. Or in that way, we would accomplish that, basically. The other possibility would be that we go about taking roughly 19,000 EOS, which is the amount that would be distributed next term to the delegates, and 19,000 to the OPEX budget. So we would leave the delegates with the 19,000 that were originally going to them, which would be half of their amount, and the other half we would take it at this point before the term ends and move it into the ddfunds.eden and budget.eden accounts, distributed between those two accounts. And that would serve for OPEX and CAPEX expenditures into the next term for the chief delegates and the delegates.
Yeah.
Are there any questions that I explained that well, or is it a little poorly explained?
I just want to complement on that. The budget of Eden, that's really the OPEX fund for the monthly cost about the infrastructure, those kind of things to run the organization. And the ddfunds.eden, that's a mix between operational expense like travels or we don't know, other operational expenses, and a mix with CAPEX to have the funds there. To make,
so the question is, just to go back over it again, whether we not do anything during this term, set this as the expectation and allow the next set of delegates and chief delegates to donate 50% of their budget, and essentially keep 6.5%, or do we lower the next term's distribution to 6.5% at the end of this term and take at this point 19,000 EOS and distribute that between the budget.eden and the ddfunds.eden accounts manually? So we would relieve the delegates of the choice to donate their funds or not, and we would have them take their salary, and that's that, with no expectations that they do anything with that salary for Eden itself, but as delegates to lift it up to the responsibilities that accompany being elected as a delegate.
Yeah, so let's maybe we'll see if there's a conversation at the end of the call. It's got a it's maybe a little bit difficult to explain, but we'll put that into clear statements and share it in the channels, and then we can see what conversation happens in the channels. But we chief delegates are very, very keen to ratify the previous bylaws along with the new set of bylaws so that they can be ratified at the beginning of season 8. And so getting these details right with consensus in the community is very important to us ASAP. So we'll
just to finish that thought and to emphasize what you just said regarding the application or the ratification of the term 6 bylaws. Once we do that, it will be obligatory on the delegates of the next term to donate 75% if they do not ratify the bylaws that we present in this term. If we, for example, in this term, lower the amount to 50%, it would behoove them, if they're interested in that, to ratify our bylaws rather than keep the expectation that 75% be donated.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a theme we'll come back to over the course of the next week or so in the discussion channels and any other meetings, because this is really key to how things are monetized next season. Let's just complete, and then we'll see what discussion there is. So governance, integration of ambassador scope into current bylaws. So this, we're still working out what the ambassador program should look like, right? And then however that manifests, then that's got to be reflected again in the bylaws that we're working on for the completion of this season, including the purpose paper and the draft operations manual, which has also been shared in the channels, to make sure the community is in alignment. So that's key in the governance working group at the moment. Hypha, in terms of governance, we're looking to use the Hypha platform. Again, it's super imminent. Could be as early as like whatever, next week we might actually get access, or early next week. And then there's the conversation of where we're going to run the elections. And having listened to Mo and the Hypha team, it looks like the safest bet is to run the next election on the Genesis platform. And because we haven't been able to test the election process on Hypha, so there's less confidence of it running without a hitch. So maybe the Genesis is the better bet. Adenia will begin its prep for the upcoming election, which is due in a few weeks from now, right? Like about 3 weeks to the next election. The Incubator Ambassador Program, I kind of went over that because I showed the preview of the document, but we need to understand what, why, and how, and what are the limitations of the program, the requirements for being in the program, the scope of it, the risk of it, and the materials that are going to be used. And this, again, is also main focus of Chief Delegates and the Comms&Media working group to help work out how to communicate that as well. And it could be in the governance working group in terms of how the program should be governed, right? Obviously. That's all of the notes we got. Opening up now, we got another 20 minutes on the call. So hands up if you'd like to contribute, questions, challenges, ideas.
On the section that you were referring to, how the delegates, quote unquote, the delegates contribute, does that refer to chief delegates also, or what are we talking about? Just the delegate, just the individual, the lower chamber, so to speak?
Contributing to what? Sorry?
The section that's listed above where you are right now that you were just discussing, that one right there.
Finance.
You're referring, when you say delegate, you mean the lower chamber of delegates, the 15 or 20, 21, or all delegates, including chief delegates?
Mo, any clarification?
I'm still not sure what you're referring to, Perry. Could you?
Is it this, the disbursement of 6.5%, Perry? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, that stuff.
Yeah, so that would be currently the way that the Treasury works is that 11% is unlocked, and half of that is dispersed to the chief delegates. And then the other half is dispersed amongst the delegates, right? So what we're talking about is just cutting that in half for everyone.
For all delegates. Okay, that was
delegates.
what I was.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically what would end up happening is that 6.5% would be unlocked, divided into the chief delegates would then divide up that half, and then the delegates would divide up their half. So the same thing would end up happening. It's just instead of 11% being unlocked, 6.5%.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Nicholas?
Yeah, hey guys. What's the 6.5% for the working groups going to be used for, and how are we going to decide that?
So the 6.5% would be divided between the budget.eden account, which is currently used for infrastructure just to maintain the operations of the organization. So for example, paying Edenia monthly, basically just keeping us running, functioning. And ddfunds.eden account, which is the account that we were using for the OpEx. So whenever proposals are made by the community, funding for the Comms&Media content that's being created, funding for working groups as needed and as requested, all of these kind of things that basically are just expenses that come up as we go to hopefully generate more funding if possible, or CapEx expenses, which would go to, for example, the website, which is infrastructure that we're building out, or any applications that would contribute to the growth of our application as a whole, I would say.
Okay, and I guess that for the amount that's more volatile, I guess there would be like voting among like the delegates to decide if they extra money, I guess, something like that. Okay. And the
that would
last
be
thing I
the,
want to ask,
yeah.
sorry,
No, I was going to say that would be the other part of it where we would want input from the delegates as well, is to how those funds are spent.
okay,
So
yeah.
their support in terms of
And
what proposals they support.
okay, and my last question is, are these funds going to be held in USDT or EOS?
Yeah, they're in EOS, 19,000 EOS.
Okay, thank you.
So, Gabriel, if you want to fix that.
Which one?
19K is EOS, not dollars.
Yeah, one little thing on that comment for myself is that from the season 6 purpose paper, there was the idea introduced of a incubator committee which would help to make those investment decisions, and we've carried that forward. Again, this is something we need to be very clear on for our bylaws, but the idea is that in addition just to the chief delegates as approvers, there will be also committee members that are part of a wider decision-making process, and that has been described in the operating manual to date, but we've just got to figure that out. So it wouldn't just be, working group funding. The people in the working group would propose, and the chief delegates are supposedly the approvers, but also the idea is there'll be committee members who help to balance out the voting for spend. We need to describe that in as much clarity as possible for community consensus. Patrick, you had your hand. Go, Mo.
It could be that we roll that out as we progress, given the degree of participation that we have. Maybe the working groups also function as a committee and as a working group themselves at this point. As they grow, maybe we have those committees form, or we try to have the committees and we see the degree of interest that we have from the community.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, so we got to list out the options. One option is that the delegates, like level 1, level 2 delegates themselves, could vote to appoint a committee of that helps. So it might be that they're electing delegates that are not in the working groups, that are not chief delegates, or members of different working groups. One concern is, for example, if the tech working group gets a budget of like 20,000 EOS, they might not be aligned with the interests of the other working groups. So they go and spend money in this direction, while the Comms&Media group wants to spend money in a different direction. So maybe that's some level of balancing that we need to think about, is how do we make sure that the working group commitments are aligned with each other, and whether we can rely only on the chief delegates to do that or some additional kind of committee. So again, these kind of considerations. Patrick?
To go into this vein, we have some tool available to make sure that we are aligned between the working groups. Because first, into the working groups, when we will receive proposal, we have to make the proposal in stages. And one of the last stages is to make a vote of the proposal with a voting system, like a polling system, for example, like consortium we can use. It's on chain, it's developed, it's functionable. And then we can do that in every working group. And at the end, we can compare if there is no overlap or if there is no misalignment indeed. Because we have the things for each working group voted, it's on chain, then we can do some checking process. So that's perfect. Intra working group. So a micro view on each working group, what are the proposals, and a macro view, what are the proposals of each working group together, and making sure it's described into the document, one of the documents that you have, operational ambassador document. We have the proposal in stages, and for each proposal, of each working group. But then when you want to report this at the higher level, the micro view, and we know where we are. We have decision tools. We can take some decisions. And like this, we decentralize the power of each working group, and we decentralize the power of the entire Eden on EOS DAO. That's
great scenario there. Maybe what we need to do is list out a bunch of these kind of scenarios, and so we got it documented, see it, read it, and we can talk about it. All of us, the whole community. Thanks, Perry.
It's not entirely clear to me what the role of committees are, and especially if they're in comparison to CDs. Maybe one way to answer it is to help us understand how Hypha uses committees, and does Hypha have CDs?
Hypha has badges, and Hypha has councils. So effectively the councils are like what we're describing as committees, and there's one called the Alignment Council, and the Alignment Council is supposed to help the circles, which is our equivalent of working groups, to be aligned strategically. So we can think of it like that if you want. We would have an alignment council that helps to make sure the working groups are aligned. The badges, go on.
Well, I was just going to ask, how is the council elected?
The council is elected by the existing members sponsoring the addition of new members. So it's like an old boys club. If you're not in it, then you can't get in it unless you're invited into it. That's how they've approached that. So that has a consistency over time. The people who've got more skin in the game, or they've contributed more, they are invited in, and they keep their seat until they want to leave, I guess. And they get to decide who from the rest of the community members are brought into that specific alignment council.
It's more like an advisory council, an advisory and oversight council.
Yeah, but just in terms of the term, it's a lifetime term.
What one scenario could be that every chief delegate that ever got elected could be added to a committee, right? In that kind of sense, like a lifetime access to a committee, and then maybe the past 3 months worth of chief delegates are in this rolling committee. So there's some balance of judiciary oversight from the Supreme Court of Eden to help balance the power of current chief delegates. Again, there's probably lots and lots of scenarios that we can put together. It will be great to do that. Pretty interesting exercise. And then we'll see what we can propose for the bylaws for this term. 8 minutes left on the clock. We don't have to use it all up, but if there's any other comments, reflections, questions, challenges, then go for it.
One more quick follow-up on what you just said. Does Hypha have the software in place to support the councils, or we might call them committees?
It's just a badge. So if you put a proposal on the DAO, and the people vote to authorize you to receive that badge, which is an icon on your profile, and then that's how you know that you belong to that council.
Okay.
And then they just manage their schedule. They have a weekly phone call, and that's it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Could it be interesting to build out an interface for councils?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Just real quick, the nature of the Hypha platform is that they want to try and be as relatively flexible as possible, so that each community can do its own thing as much as possible. It's really how it's being approached.
I would suggest that anything that we think of in those terms, we should also think of monetizing terms. So if we build something out like that, then maybe we want to rent it out to other applications or other DAOs that might want to use it as well, or their councils.
100, yeah, certainly no argument for me on that one. Guys, any more conversation, thoughts, ideas? Alrighty.
Has anyone given any thought to the idea of the disbursements for the finance for the next term? I'd be very interested in hearing as much as possible on that in the coming weeks, just so that we have as much alignment from the community on that, given that it is somewhat of a sensitive subject. It would be interesting to get feedback on it.
You meant this stuff, right? The options of splitting the funds.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe we can do, the three of our chief delegates for now can just try and write those out as clear statements, because this is it's a bit bullet pointy, obviously. So maybe we can do that and just share that and see if we get inputs. But yeah, anyone else with reflections on that? Like,
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
My feeling is that the amount of money that the delegates get should reflect compensation for the work that they're doing, and then an additional amount that they can use at their discretion, and that these projects should essentially sell their projects to the delegates. And the delegates shouldn't be required to do anything. They should voluntarily. They should have an amount that they can voluntarily contribute, but they should also have an amount that is adequate to reflect their role. Yeah, I think that's, for me, that feels like right, because you're incentivizing the delegate, but then at the same time you're giving them the freedom to make a choice, and there's somewhat of a free market, so to speak, for those projects, and it feels less centralized in that sense. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I can offer my thought, and then maybe Mo or whoever else can help. My thought is that the problem is that if the delegates receive all of the money, then the delegates can do nothing for the community and take the money, or do a little bit for the community, and then no money goes to working groups. So it's about trying to figure out how to get that balance. We want working groups to be funded. It shouldn't be, and I guess this comes back to the historical thing that Eden was supposed to be electing a worker proposal system. Well, the people who get voted don't necessarily do all of the work. So how do we give funding to the people that are doing work that are not those exactly who get funded? I think that's the point, right? That's the challenge. So one idea is to say, all right, 50% of the treasury disbursement goes to the delegates, but 50% is also reserved for people who didn't manage to get elected, but do have the ability to contribute work that helps the community to grow, like software or whatever. So that's where I'm at. But Mo, can you help with that?
Yeah, from my perspective, there's also the question of, in the vein of the community being, I guess, the objective being that it was supposed to be a WPS. I'm not 110% aligned with that. I thought it was with the governance, but let's assume that, yes, we've shifted to WPS. However, one thing that it was supposed to be trying to do from the beginning was to do the 1 + 1 = 3 idea of putting forward or putting together our forces to create bigger impacts in the community. I think that has essentially failed largely over the last 2.5 years. There hasn't been enough collaboration within the community in terms of the delegates, the chief delegates, or even the members collaborating with each other to see who has what skills and funding those skills, or what delegates can put together their funds to achieve more with them. Most of that has happened through Pomelo, if anything. So from that end, one could say that there has been that. But we haven't collaborated amongst each other in an impactful way. So I would say that putting funds towards a specific account and towards working groups that are from within the community would achieve that much better. One other, I guess, option could be that we put these funds in these accounts and then the delegates vote on the proposals. So in that way, the funds are there. It's just up to the delegates to come to consensus in a majority and a 2/3, however you want to frame it, as to what they would like to see their funds go towards.
The working groups having a 50% of the treasury, for example, is maintaining a balance of worker proposal, because the money goes to working groups and they get to sponsor what they think should be built, and then they get paid to build it under consensus of the wider community. Very specifically to say, everything that the community treasury gets used for should have a clear contribution to the community. And the community ultimately has to decide what that is. If it is making internal videos or internal tweets or internal blogs or internal communications like meeting minutes, summaries, if it's massaging our internal machinations of being a community and it doesn't actually bring new traffic from the outside world or new customers or new money, then we're kind of like a big circle jerk. We are going to eat our treasury and then there's going to be no more treasury. What we have to do as a community is figure out, Perry has an amazing search thing that filters content, and how do we monetize that together? Then you get compensated based on the commercial value that you add to the community with the support and help and involvement of the community. Instead of just saying, I made an RSS feed, if you like it, give me some money. It's, let's use this RSS feed that I've got to help bring new money into the community so that I can earn some money, and we're adding more money to the treasury and we're growing as a collective community.
Well, there's a lot there. And on one level, we have to ask ourselves, what is D-News? And in the context of a single DAO, I've positioned it as a public good.
You could position it as a widget and let different communities decide if that's valuable to them and pay for that service.
Let's do a survey. If you're talking about Eden on EOS, let's do a survey and ask the community how much has D-News contributed to their satisfaction of being a community member to date, on a scale of 0 to 10.
The way that I have it oriented now, it's not focused on Eden, but that may change.
Yeah, then I have a really a quick question on that. Didn't you just say at the beginning that you were funded so that you could create that for this community, and that it was focused on Eden?
For Eden, for EOS in general, was the specific thing, and then I thought that Eden
Okay.
would be aligned with that vision.
All right. So that's where we're at. We're figuring out how to bring value to everyone who's trying to contribute to the community and distribute funds accordingly. And that's the ongoing conversation for the next few weeks as we tie up the bylaws. I would, outside of the calls, I really do want to see ideas shared in the Telegram channels for all of this kind of stuff, but it's got to be relatable. It's got to be simple enough without abstractions and without philosophical arguments. It's just, how do we actually monetize? What are the options? What specifically might it look like? So that's what we're trying to pursue for the next couple of weeks. Mo, Patrick, any last comments from you guys? No? All right.
I have one question, and it's not related to what we were just talking about. Is our group has been gifted a free DAO? Is that a free DAO that is a parent DAO or a sub DAO to Hypha?
The standalone DAO.
I've heard it described as an anchor DAO, is that correct?
Yeah, so it allows us to create sub DAOs.
Yes. And to finish this call by stating that there is a video with Dominic Thomas about the Hypha DAO platform that was just recorded today by Nova Crypto YouTube channel that will be published on Antilopsis workshop number 22 in the week of September 25 until September 29. That's in the box. The video is made. That's explained the Hypha DAO platform. That's exactly what is a service DAO, a sub DAO, what is the structure of the software of Hypha DAO platform. So
leak it, Patrick, leak it.
Okay, thank you guys to be with us today into this 14 September call, and we see us on the next week. As always, open to all delegates and all Idononios members. And go Idononios!
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.